Hey y'all, welcome back to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, French candidates, and just generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
And I don't know why I'm taking like a very high approach to this intro. I'm just very laid back and exhausted. I think we all are. It's coming off of a full moon weekend. And
yeah, it's 40 degrees again.
It is snowing. It's fucking snowing.
It is.
Maybe the climate isn't doing great and we should, send it a letter.
Yeah, to those listeners not in Chicago, tell us your tips.
Send heat at some point. We got that tough outer shell, but that's only between November and March. Once it hits April, it's not fair anymore.
Then the tears come out.
It's true. That is true. Well, Una, I discovered something else this last week. There's a limit to how much the human mind can take when reading about Dr. Mehmet Oz. There's a lot. I did not care for it. And I think it was Wednesday last week. I said, fuck it, we'll do it live. And I decided, you know what? I don't have to read about Mehmet Oz. I don't have to look into his life or everyone running against him. Don't got to do it, at least not this week. So that was initially going to be the plan, is we're going to be talking about Pennsylvania Senate race, continuing preview 2022 and the Keystone State, talking about the recently endorsed by President Trump Mehmet Oz and the other poor bastards running against him. And I just got tired and done with it. And so I moved on to another Pennsylvania topic that we can discuss.
Ooh, okay.
But until then, I have an update from our last week's episode, because of course news has to happen right after it comes out. So in the sadder news, Trump has decided to go into the Ohio Senate race and endorse a candidate, and he has chosen J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
Who just today, an interview resurfaced from 2016 where he called Trump America's Hitler. So we'll see how long that endorsement lasts.
Well, I feel like in this case, Trump can't ever be wrong. So he'll just be like, yeah, well, he's talking about me, isn't he?
True. I mean, the one thing he might have going against him is Trump has disendorsed someone this year. He previously endorsed Mo Brooks for, I believe, Senator of Alabama, and he was not doing well. So Trump disendorsed him and I believe endorsed someone else named Katie Britt, who people were telling him to endorse the first time around, but he didn't for who knows why. So I think he's well within the window to disendorse JD Vance and endorse some other lunatic, but that's where things stand right now.
Is Mo the one who kept hitting on 17-year-olds at the mall?
You would not be faulted for being wrong about that, but no, Mo Brooks is a congressman from Alabama who is just dumber than a sack of nails, if I may use the parlance of my father. Yeah, he's a poor, stupid individual who decided to run for Senate against, I don't know, better speaking candidates. He's not very good at the whole public speaking thing. He's really good about being mad in short bursts, but not very good about long-term speeches.
Oh, he's a sprinter, not a marathoner.
Exactly. Yes. He has that short-term charisma, also known as yelling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is that. And then I hate to say it, Una, because every once in a while, Donald Trump is an extremely funny man. And he went and did something fucking hilarious this last week. So he hasn't endorsed anyone for the Pennsylvania governor's race yet. There are enough people running right now. I don't think he really wants to get involved, but he did say there's one person he will never endorse and release that on that format that he uses when he endorses people.
Yes, the Apple Notes that then gets screenshotted and sent to the internet by an intern.
That's the one. Yeah, and so if you recall, we talked about a guy last week by the name of Bill McSwain, who was the U.S. Attorney for Eastern Pennsylvania. And towards the end of his tenure, he made the claim to the public that he had gotten claims of election fraud in Pennsylvania. He went to Bill Barr about it. Bill Barr said, "You better shut your fucking mouth." And then he's like, "I was going to do something about it if Bill Barr didn't tell me not to." And this plan, as Bill Barr said, is obviously a ploy for him to get Trump's endorsement. And Trump doesn't like Bill Barr right now. But what it ended up doing was having the exact opposite effect, because Trump heard that, and all he heard was, "I am too much of a coward to do things on my own." And as such, he said, "I have yet to endorse someone, but I will never endorse Bill McSwain because, quote, he is a coward."
We love to see a dumbest rendering of Shakespeare comeuppance. Just love it here at Gadfly.
I will always donate to a Kickstarter that is bullies bullying bullies. It is just throw them in a fucking fish tank and let them beta fish each other to death. It's gonna be perfect.
It's let them fight, Doc. Yes.
Yes. And so after that came out, Jake Corman, who's one of the middling candidates who made infamous America fame by yelling at a state senator when she was trying to read a homeless man's remarks into the record. He came out with a statement after that happened saying, "Well, I was thinking about dropping out of the race, but now that Trump has said this, I'm keeping it. I'm right back in."
Oh my God.
Yeah, man polling 6% decided to make it the saddest statement ever.
He sees a chance.
What's the opposite of an Irish goodbye? Like you're at a party, is like, guys, I'm totally gonna leave.
A Midwest goodbye.
I think Nikki did call that an Appalachian goodbye. So.
Where you just stand at the door for 20 minutes. It drives me insane. Yeah. I can't take it.
Look, people should just be like me and stay until 3 a.m. and then realize, oh, I might have outstayed my welcome by 2 hours.
I thoroughly enjoy listening to Bluegrass with you at 2:35 in the morning.
I'm great at parties. Let's just say this. So on those notes, we've kind of caught up, I think, on the great Pennsylvania news and Trump being accidentally fucking hilarious, which burns me to my soul. But, to kick things off for this episode, like I said, we're staying in Pennsylvania. And they have a bunch of congressional districts. Some of them are going to be fun to watch. Some of them are pretty much already done. But there are a few that I'm really intrigued and I wanted to talk about. So today's preview 2022 is going to be about 3 different congressional districts in Pennsylvania that have races that are either going to be really close or are races that just amuse me beyond words.
Yay! It's a smorgasbord episode.
Exactly, yeah. And it's not just going to be fascist bastards the whole way down. There's going to be decent people. And probably my favorite thing, Una, I got hit with pages of policy, pages of a platform with ideas on how to enact it. It's literally my love language, and I'm so happy to talk about this person. Save them for last. It's going to be, I'm so excited. But first we gotta eat our vegetables first. We got to talk about probably one of the sadder of all the congressional races going on right now, Pennsylvania's 1st district, the fighting first.
The fighting first.
Yes, as the old chestnut says. So Pennsylvania's gone under a lot of redistricting lately where, districts have moved, they've changed locations. Some have changed, some not so much. This one we're going to be talking about is the 1st district, and they have moved from northeast Pennsylvania down to a little triangle of rural land between Philadelphia, Trenton, New Jersey, and Allentown. It's very clearly set out to be like, no, just rural people, nothing else. Like, you keep your batteries and socks out of this district.
Only the sad Bruce Springsteen songs.
Yes. No, those stay in Jersey. Allentown by Billy Joel stays where it is, and beating up Santa Claus on the street can stay in Philly. We're all the areas in between. So we're talking about this patch of land. And since 2016, the area has been represented by a Republican by the name of Brian Fitzpatrick. Born in 1973 in Philadelphia, Brian and his brother Mike would be raised in the suburb of Levittown. They went to co-ed Catholic school, then split ways when they got to college. Brian would end up attending LaSalle University, where he focused on business administration, then headed off to Penn State for his MBA and then law degree. From there, Brian would become a special assistant U.S. attorney and then an agent with the FBI. In 2016, though, he'd be called home to run for office. And this is mainly because his brother asked him to. You see, while Brian was busy being an FBI person, Mike dove very quickly into politics. He served as commissioner for Bucks County for 10 years before making the leap into Congress. He'd win in 2004, lost re-election in 2006, then ran again in 2010 and got his seat back. He was trying in 2008, but he had some health issues going on at the time. Oh. And the thing, though, is Mike made a promise that he would never serve more than 4 terms in Congress, so 8 years total. And son of a bitch, he actually fucking meant it in this rare twist.
Oh.
So when the 2016 election came up, Mike bowed out and Brian moved back to Pennsylvania and took the opportunity to take his brother's place in Congress. The other frustrating thing, too, is that the Fitzpatrick brothers actually seem like really decent guys.
Aww.
So Mike had supported reauthorizing the Violence Against Women Act. And I know the bar is really, really low here for some of these folks, but look, you support that, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
He pressed the FDA regularly to actually check if medical devices were safe before approving them, and then gave them absolute hell when they continued to let dangerous products remain on the market. And he was also ranked the 10th most bipartisan member of Congress. So that's with Mike, not the new guy, Brian. The big bummer with Mike, though, is like I said, in 2008, he initially planned to run for a seat, but he had to drop out due to colon cancer. Oh. And in 2020, he would end up dying at the age of 53 from melanoma.
Oh my goodness.
And, it is kind of a fucky thing when family members just suddenly get a job that you had. It feels very nepotistic and weird. But, Brian actually seemed really well fitted for the job. He took his brother's bipartisanship and just ran with it. He would end up becoming ranked the 3rd most bipartisan member of Congress. He actually believes in man-made climate change. He urged the Supreme Court to limit extreme gerrymandering. He opposed Trump's Muslim ban. He supports same-sex marriage, co-sponsored the Equality Act, wants to pass a constitutional amendment for congressional term limits, and worked with Democrat Stephanie Murphy to try and ban former members of the legislature from becoming lobbyists after they leave their job. And then there's the real reason that Brian is in trouble with this incumbent bid. He kind of pissed off Donald Trump.
Oh, because he's a good Catholic boy.
Yeah.
He's Brian Fitzpatrick. And he's going to fuck you up.
Look, I am clearly yes. Yeah. So that's not to say that Brian voted to impeach Trump. He voted against it both times, saying that like I'd censure him, but I wouldn't go as far to impeach him. But he did do some votes that pissed off the fascist rank and file. He voted to remove Marjorie Taylor Greene from all of her committee seats. He voted to censure Steve Bannon. He voted to condemn Trump for saying certain progressive congresswomen should go back to their countries they came from if they don't like it here. He pushed Congress to censure Trump instead of impeach him the second time around, and voted to approve the January 6th commission, which seems to be the real sticking point for why Trump's so mad at this guy.
Yeah.
And thanks to this level of decency, he absolutely has himself some primary contenders to face come May. Now, their polls haven't been released for this race, so it's kind of hard to tell who's actually going to come close and who's actually winning. I went to look into the next best thing, the amount of money that you have raised. Aside from him, there have not been any campaign finance reports that have come in yet. So that's something I really can't use. So I have to go with a mix between, does your website look professional? Do you even have a website?
Right.
And, how professional does it seem like you're taking this?
Yeah.
All in all. So first up, having a good looking website with only his bio and a button to send him cash to volunteer and nothing else. We have Brad Lanning.
Brad.
His weird face, a little bit of a bio, and give me money.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any ideas. Just give me money.
No, this isn't a grift. Give me money.
My family wants me out of the house. Give me money. But he does have this quote for why he's running. Quote, I'm running for Congress because as a parent and citizen who loves this exceptional country, I cannot continue to sit back and watch our country being destroyed from within by a small group of depraved and misguided career politicians. I don't like the fact that so many of these further right candidates got at the source and they're using it wrong. Like depraved it can be a synonym of, grossly negligent, I guess, or something like that. But depraved has a very specific meaning, Brad.
Yeah.
It's like you're making it sound like Pat Leahy is just like stabbing cats on the floor of the fucking Senate. That's not what's fucking happening.
Yeah. Or Madison Caldwell is being invited to cocaine-fueled orgies.
Look, if he could prove it, you could use depraved. If Madison could fucking prove that shit, you could use depraved all you fucking want, Brad. It's a ludicrous sort of thing. But yeah, that's his big call to action. It's like, you people are depraved, you're misguided, which seems to be like less than depraved. If someone's you should probably lead with misguided and then end with depraved. That's just an edit.
Definitely.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly you don't have someone looking over your work before you put it online. He then goes on to call Brian part of the socialist left, which is, once again, man, come on. Like, we need thorough definitions of what socialist is, even just democratic socialist. We could start there and then move on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, as a lapsed Catholic hearing about Brian and his brother, it's like, I wish he had gone more that level of Catholicism where it really is about like helping others and being on the ground and just giving your time and your efforts to the betterment of humanity. No, he's an incredibly moderate Republican from almost a bygone era.
Yeah, this is new Pope. This is what we're dealing with here. We're not I don't know if there's ever been socialist Pope. I don't know if there's the whole part of the synod cadaver is like, this guy's a socialist. Unbury him. Put him on a share. We're doing a new trial.
Yeah, no, they keep trying to make current Pope Frank the socialist Pope. And it's like, no.
No, he can't make fetch happen, man.
He just has a really nice smile and he's from Argentina. Calm down.
I know we haven't had a decent Pope for a while, but that's no reason to do that. He calls Brian part of the socialist left. He claims the Equality Act will, quote, inevitably violate religious liberty, parental authority, and women's rights. Now, I'll remind you, the Equality Act is there to make sure that whether you're male or female, you make the same money for doing the same job.
Yeah.
It is there to make sure that you're not being a misogynistic dick in the workplace or in life, or as he said, violating parental authority.
Yeah, it only violates parental authority if you really go in with the heavy belief that like the woman should be taking care of children at home for free.
I'm sorry, you gave my daughter a B+, and I will have you know that she should not be being graded. She should be tending to the cows. Good day, sir. Quit educating my child.
Yeah. What did Noah get on his grades when he was bringing in animals?
Was this when he was drunk or not? Love a good Noah story. That guy was wild. Anyway, been having a lot of Bible conversations this week about things you did not know were in that book. Personal favorite, the time a bunch of kids were making fun of a guy for being bald and God sent a bear to kill them.
That's in the Bible?
Yeah, it was during God's angry period, before he had a kid and chilled out.
The first?
Yeah, the whole first book. The whole beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, during God's anger management days. Fuck you, I'm ending the world. Noah, put everything on a fucking boat. I don't sober up and do it. I don't care. Measure it in cubits. That's the new measurement we're using now.
Bitch, you want to drown and drink?
Yes, I'm going to destroy your booze in the flood. I'm a vengeful god.
Say goodbye to your unicorns.
Just a reminder, you can buy the Gadfly Bible at any Barnes and Noble that still exists. Anyway, that was a fun tangent. Anyway, so Brad's all pissed off that women get rights. He then equates the Equality Act bill to gender-affirming therapies for youth, which he is against. He then cites a study that claims that, quote, 80% of children resolve the distress that is associated with gender dysphoria on their own, typically by puberty, is this where this number comes from. So he's absolutely against the idea of minors being given puberty blockers or anything of that sort. And, it's been a while since I've been able to do a deep dive on an easily findable study. So let's do this. Let's find out what study this is.
Yay!
So one of the upsides to this study is it was extremely easy to find, but also people who made it weren't bastards. So we at least get to start with that positive. The study was named Gender Dysphoria in Children and Adolescents, a review of recent research, and it was conducted by a trio of fellows named Johannes Fuss, Matthias Auer, and Pierre Breiken in 2015. So the three are German experts in sexuality, and to the best of my knowledge, are not monsters. Johannes in particular seems to be pretty cool. For example, one of the most recent surveys they took part in was a study in 2020 on virtual reality porn that found a lot of positives from it. Predominantly that when people used virtual reality porn instead of typical internet porn, they felt more desired, more flirted with, and looking into the eyes of someone had them feel more connected during the process. The theory is that this feeling of closeness can remove the objectification that occurs when viewing regular porn and possibly exercises one's empathy in the process.
Ooh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's a really cool study. And he was just like, I'm so happy to be part of this. The research part was very cool. Like you skate.
I feel very loved.
Yeah, and it's a really cool concept. And, anything that can change porn from being just pure objectification, or at least moving away from that to both exercising, sexuality and empathy is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool study. So I think it's safe to say that we're not dealing with a group of closed-minded prudes on this. So issue 1, with how Brad is using this quote. This isn't a study with a sample group run by Fuss, Auer, and Breiken. Rather, it's a review of related studies to help dive deeper into the topic of gender dysphoria in minors. Quote, with the advent of medical treatments such as puberty suppression and cross-sex hormones in gender dysphoric minors, there's been a debate around questions of gender identity and brain development. This review aimed to identify recent empirical studies and address this controversial topic. 2, Brad misses a lot of the key information obtained from this review. For one, it was found that in multiple countries, the occurrence of gender dysphoria in minors is much higher than previously thought. And second, they found that these minors are an extremely vulnerable population that benefit from psychological outcomes, which is a way of saying that a minor with gender dysphoria deserves to have proper therapy to help them understand what they're feeling and accept themselves as normal. That any sort of therapy outside of, telling them to stop is bad. And any sort of therapy being like, hey, it's okay. This is extremely common ends up, and whatever you decide is fine. And 3, I'm just going to quote what came from the study. Brain development studied by neuroimaging methods seems not to be disturbed by puberty suppression. Translation, it is more than likely kids can go on puberty suppressants without suffering long-term effects, especially with brain function during puberty, which is Brad's big worry, is that if you are placed on puberty suppressants, it's going to fuck up your brain for the rest of your life. It's going to be irreversible if you change your mind, or if you feel that it's not for you anymore. Essentially what the study finds is that, it's perfectly safe to put minors on puberty blockers until they can figure out what it is that they want and what, sexuality best fits them.
Yeah.
And so this 80% of children end up resolving gender dysphoria by the time they're in puberty. It goes hand in hand with the reason that number is so big is because so many more children feel that in their youths than we think. And so that's why that number is as high as it is. And when you hit puberty, you start to actually think about what that means. And so this idea that we shouldn't be doing this because, for 80% of kids, it doesn't matter. Well, what about the other fucking 20%, Bradley? We're just going to throw those kids under the bus. We're just going to make them bury who they are.
And this 80% is also coming out of trials where they're getting really positive therapy time too, right? So it's so it's 80%. It's maybe they didn't need hormone additives or the blockers or whatever. It's but meanwhile, they are talking about it, and they're in a safe space with a professional who is able to like help them feel their feelings and guide them and kind of work with that so that, yeah, by the time they hit puberty, it's like maybe they do need it, maybe they don't, but either way, it's like they are so much more mentally healthier. Unlike these poor kids who are getting nothing in probably a home that's just like, why are you such a tomboy? Can you take a ballet class for once?
Which especially makes all this frustrating anti-trans legislation so fucking horrific, is that this study is just proving like not feeling yourself in your own body is a super common feeling, and children should be allowed to know that that's common.
And it reminds me of the chart I saw on Twitter this past week about percentage of left-handedness in the population and how it like really dips down in the 1910s and then really escalates post-war.
Well, that's because there's been a steady rise in crime since the 1910s.
Right, exactly.
Oh my God. It's infuriating. It's like, Brad, you can't even make a website. Why are you even trying to act like you know what this means?
Yeah, please. And it also just like has nothing to do with you, Brad. Like,
yeah, go fucking home, sir. And finally, I'm just going to quote the final sentence in the report. The first reports about long-term outcome in adolescents having undergone puberty suppression have shown some promising results. But they also note that more studies need to be done so they can actually understand what all of this means. But the essential gist is your kids are going to be fine. Let them be themselves.
Let them know they're not alone. Make sure they feel loved.
Brad then rounds out his tiny website with the claim that the people who will be hurt most if suddenly the minimum wage is raised to $15 federally, turns out people of color are going to suffer the most from that, because suddenly college students are going to be competing for these minimum wage jobs because the money's so good. You know, because people of color don't go to college, Una.
So many things, Dusty. I mean,
Brad, you need an editor.
So many levels of bigotry in that.
It's not good.
Like, one, people of color absolutely go to college. Secondly, like, okay, so you're admitting that $15 is an extremely good wage. Maybe that's part of the problem because there's so much wage suppression across the board in all fields.
Well, I don't know if you know this, Una, but this is a point that Brad makes. $15 minimum wage is actually being pushed by big business because Amazon and Starbucks love the idea of a $15 minimum wage, because in his mind, that'll wipe out local competition that can't pay $15 an hour, leaving them to take over the world with subpar burned coffee.
I'm pretty sure you're 20 years too late with that hot take.
Yep. Yeah, I think you got beat by, I don't know, marketing and laziness. I think those are the two things that worked in their favor very well. But yeah, if $15 minimum wage was the magic bullet to ending local competition, they'd probably be paying that right now. Not, fighting like hell to keep people from unionizing and getting more money.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, allow you, if you're, I don't know, paying for a coffee with a credit card, to add a credit tip. You fucking bastards.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's Brad. He's a fucking idiot with a bad website, and he'll probably get like 0.5%. But he's running, and I felt like enough of his stuff is fun to talk about.
He had a website.
Yeah. Look, when the bare minimum is a campaign website, I have to acknowledge he could have very well just used his LinkedIn page.
Oh my God.
Anyway, next we're going to move on to Alex Entin. Alex was born in Moldova back when it was part of the Soviet Union. When he was 9, his family immigrated to America, and as an adult, he created a thriving career as a procurement professional, which, best as I can tell, is someone who buys stuff for a company. Alex would state that he chose to enter the race while he was canvassing for school board candidates and found that many people didn't believe that Brian Fitzpatrick was conservative enough for them. Alex does view himself as a Trumpist, but hasn't gone so far as to say the 2020 election was rigged. But he does think an audit would help ease everyone's minds, like it did in Arizona that one time. Now, at first, I was excited to not only see that he has an issues page, but there's also a drop down for each topic, which meant, they actually meant something to him and they were going to have their own pages. And it was very exciting. So I clicked on the issues to see what this dude was all about. And there's 6 of them: economy, education, election security, medical freedom, immigration, and extra slot.
It just says extra slot.
Now, if that's confusing, it's cleared up by the description below it that just says description, lowercase d. But look, it gets a little clearer if you go up to immigration, which says, quote, lorem ipsum dolor sitimet.
No.
He lorem ipsum did. He didn't even change it.
No. He just got the WordPress and that was it.
Mm-hmm. Now, to be fair, those topics do have their own page. So that fuck up sad pages is on its own. So you can click to the other basic stuff that goes to the other pages. So, But yeah, this is stuff you need to iron out before your WordPress goes live. But some other notes I have, though. In his election security page, he calls for only paper ballots attained with an ID and to limit mail-in ballots to extreme circumstances. The thing, though, is that it's not the federal government's job to decide that. That's entirely the state. If you wanted to do that, then you run for state senator or state representative. If you're running for Congress, you can't do jack fuck about deciding how states vote.
Yeah, states' rights, motherfucker. Isn't that part of your whole deal?
Fucking rights, man. God damn it. Under his medical freedom section, he is anti-vax, mandate, and mask, but then takes a step forward by stating, quote, the Nuremberg Code, which is supposed to protect us, needs to be enforced.
He did not just bring up Nuremberg.
Look, this is my new favorite conspiracy nonsense that's going on right now. It's very popular with Alex Jones and the InfoWars type. But yeah, the Nuremberg Code is something I had to look up because I've heard it enough times. I just assumed they meant the trials, but it's actually something a little deeper. So, following the end of World War II, the Nuremberg trials were held to punish the Nazi leadership for their mountains of crimes that they had committed. One such case was US v. Brandt, which was the start of 12 cases that followed the initial Nuremberg trials, and most of the defendants were doctors who had conducted human experimentation in the concentration camps. As for the Brandt in this case, that would be Rudolf Brandt, who oddly enough is one of the 3 Nazis in the case who was not a doctor. Particularly, he was a lawyer by trade, but he'd be brought into the Nazi leadership after working as a stenographer for Heinrich Himmler, and then eventually just became his personal assistant for all occasions. On the side, though, he also created a Jewish skeleton collection with the goal of comparing the bones to bones of other races to then draw conclusions.
Oh boy.
And these skeletons were procured from 115 prisoners at Auschwitz. He would eventually be captured after Himmler killed himself with a cyanide capsule and was charged with war crimes and crimes against humanity. At the trial, though, there was concern over the defendants claiming that their experiments were the exact same that they had conducted prior to the war, which not a great argument.
Why are you doubling down?
But they're like, it was perfectly legal then. Why would it be illegal now?
We asked you to state your name.
Sir, this is a Jewish-owned Denny's. Please leave. So the judges at the trial decided to outline why their evil shit was actually illegal. And this would become the Nuremberg Code for human experimentation. And it's a 10-step code. 1, the human subject must have consent. 2, the goal of the study should benefit society and not just be based on random curiosity. 3, animal testing should always come first. 4, the experiment should avoid unnecessary injury or mental suffering. 5, the experiment cannot be performed if death is a possibility. 6, the risk should never outweigh the value of the subject's life. 7, the location of the study needs to be safe. 8, only scientists should be allowed to do this work. 9, the subject may be allowed to quit at any point. And 10, the scientist in charge must be willing to stop everything if it becomes too dangerous to the subject's health. And while the code has been the benchmark for human studies, it should also be noted that this is not law anywhere.
Yeah, thank you.
It was essentially used just for this court case so we could actually kill these fucking Nazis for the terrible shit they did and not have to worry about some legal loophole that lets them fuck off to Argentina for the rest of their lives. So parts of it have been used as inspiration, but the whole thing has no legal bearing whatsoever. Also, Rudolph got hung to death, so yay. Oof. But what I think Alex is hinting at is that the COVID vaccine violates the Nuremberg Code. Which, all right, I'll play your fucking game, Alex. Let's fucking do this shit. Let's look at the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, just for the fuck of it. Clinical trials for that vaccine started April 23rd, 2020, a month after the shit started to hit the fan in America. Separate clinical trials also started in America on May 4th. Tests were run in 3 age groups, were tested for efficiency and side effects, and done in 3 different countries during this time. These tests went until November 18th, 2020, and went through rigorous trials to ensure its effectiveness and safety, and comparing it to some kind of sinister Nazi experiment demeans the horrors of the concentration camps, and frankly, people peddling this shit, including Alex Jones, should have the shame to fucking know better. It's documented how safe these trials were, and how careful they were at all turns, and how much work they had to put in to prove that it wasn't going to kill anyone.
Yeah. Everyone was on board until like media pointed out that like, hey, someone's Black grandma could easily die from COVID, so let's all get vaccinated. And then suddenly everyone's racism came out to play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then you have the whole anti-vax movement that was just waiting for that shit to begin with.
Also, like, okay, let's go back to the fucking Nuremberg Code. Like, oh, so now we're signing up for all of these international regulations,
right?
Right. Are we suddenly going to give a shit about the Geneva Convention now? We've not, like, even even just like moderate America has never given a shit about the Geneva Convention. Come on.
I'm going to take it a step forward. Human subject must have consent. Yeah, everyone who took part in the experiment had consent. 2, goal of the study should benefit society and not just be random curiosity. Yeah, we got that. Animal testing should come first. They did animal testing first. The experiment should avoid unnecessary injury or mental suffering. The experiment cannot be performed with death as a possibility. None of that shit happened. The risk should never outweigh the subject's life. They were never going to fucking die to begin with. So yes, the location of the study needs to be safe. They did it in fucking labs. Only scientists need to do the work. Yeah, they were the only people fucking doing it. The subject may be allowed to quit at any point, which they were. And the scientist in charge must be willing to stop everything if it becomes too dangerous for the subject's health. No one died. So that wasn't the thing. They followed the fucking Nuremberg Code. You goddamn commie.
You know what didn't follow the Nuremberg Code? All of those requests for horse paste.
Look, you got to get the apple flavored. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time.
It'll be a bad trip, man.
Horses love apples, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, they really do. Or the carrot flavor.
Oh my God.
Oh.
So yeah, Alex doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about in regards to this, but I don't think he cares.
Nope.
Immigration. He wants to build the wall and all amnesty forever. Cool. Now education. Now, this is Alex's real bread and butter because he was the guy going out trying to get school board members elected. And the reason I know that this is also his bread and butter is that there's a whole section on his website of him going to school board meetings and being a dick.
No.
His biggest issue is that everyone keeps saying America's a racist country and wants to teach kids CRT, which, I'll say it again. I'm sure I'll say it many more times. That is a law school level class and will never be taught to anyone in any public school that is 12th grade or under. You fucking children.
No, it's a Southern Strategy 2.0.
But the other thing he hates is a little something called social and emotional learning. And I think we might have talked about this before as like a sort of a one-off thing, but I wanted to go a little deeper into this time around. So the basis of social and emotional learning is that for students to be able to do their best, they need to focus on 5 key attributes: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. To become skilled in these attributes, though, a student needs assistance not just from the classroom, but also the entire school system, their families, and their community. So basically, treating students like complex humans and not just robots to memorize information, that they need to be able to understand how to act in the world and how the world interacts with them to build their empathy and understanding with not just themselves, but everyone around them. And having this basis of understanding will help them learn better. That being said, there are some valid criticisms out there. Some believe SEL is too optimistic and that their own studies aren't reflective of what other researchers have found. Others believe that it's too much of a catch-all sort of a thing. On the social and emotional learning website, they do state in their PowerPoint that you can adapt it to whatever community needs you have. So it does kind of become a bit of a catch-all and able to fit in any regard or any way. And others note that SEL is so adaptable to whichever school it goes to that it can't really be tracked for success against other schools. There's really no consistency to really get these numbers to prove which version of SEL actually works best. Another kind of a big thing is it's treated sort of like this Ivy Tower progressive idea of how to fix everything. That like, oh, we're coming to fix your school now. And we figured out the problem. It's that we have to work on everyone's empathy, which but
it's one of those things where it's like I bristle a little bit because when I hear about it, it is usually like from incredibly well-meaning, overeducated white mothers who are so excited that their kids are getting this kind of new learning environment. And on the one hand, I am the child of parents who grew up with mean nuns. So there's a cognitive dissonance for them of understanding like why this is even a thing. But then too, like from, my more, my peers who have kids and are all excited about this, it's like, oh, and your kid goes to an expensive Montessori school and you're not actually involved in, say, like Chicago public school systems. Like, are you getting angry about the fact that some of the kids in those public schools don't have money for lunch? Like that is also, that affects how you perform in school a lot more than like empathy training.
Yeah, it is very much like a rich school solution to everyone's problems. Another thing I forgot is there's concern that if this is implemented, how many teachers are actually going to be capable of doing this? Oh, yeah. How many of them actually have that psychological background?
My God, the background, the fact that like for some of them, like maybe they have 30 kids in one classroom, they have, they're teaching to the test. It's a nightmare.
Exactly. But that's not what Alex is worried about. He thinks, as well as many other people, that this is Marxist indoctrination, that this is just a way to make all the kids think and act the same. This is Brave New World, Una. That's all this is. Only without the drugs, without destroying the definition of mother and father, limiting social interactions to like 1 month, just like Brave New World.
Yeah, it's like, just check. Did you read the book or just the back page, just the flap?
Did you read the chapter on Ford Day? Because I cannot believe they had me read that in 9th grade. It is
amazing,
raunchy. It is the world's worst orgy.
And that's how they teach sex ed now. Never have sex because it'll be this weird.
It's such a weird book. I forget really what most of it's about, but I will always remember the main character being disappointed that he's getting paired up with a woman with big eyebrows. That he showed up late and he's getting the worst partner for Ford Day.
This, you know what though? If we assume that most kids our age and younger read Brave New World in 9th grade, I think that explains a lot of Tinder habits as well, where they meet up and it's like, oh, but you have big eyebrows.
Yeah, I'm out. Nah, it's
I'm just not interested.
It's what I learned from Brave New World. You gotta respect yourself, and by definition, respecting you. I will now bid you adieu at this Cheesecake Factory.
Let's give him Philip Roth instead. Let's say goodbye, Columbus.
Hey, you fuckers want to read Ulysses? Let's go.
We're gonna blow your mind. Now you really are Marxists, unfortunately.
Nah, I got stuck with Madame Bovary, a book I was told was sexy, and all they did was ride a carriage into the woods.
And it was just sad and full of
a book about a terrible person who dies awfully. Anyway, enough high school required reading. The other side thing with SEL that people are worried about, I'm just going to quote former reporter Azra Romani, who stated, quote, SEL developers are using the material as a Trojan horse to bring critical race theory and LGBTQ plus acceptance into the classroom.
Wanking motion.
Yes. Yeah. I think Azra is one of those people who believe in lipstick parties and the silly band. I forget what their full name. Yeah, it's weird sexualized imaginations that adults have about children that don't actually happen.
Yeah, which is, I was like, why are you thinking about this so much?
Yeah. Like, do you know how lipstick works? Because that's not how lipstick works.
Also, just in general, I'm tired of being screamed at by people who are clearly the weakest link in any project, like any group project.
Yeah.
Tired of it.
It is very exhausting. So that said, it would not surprise you to know that Alex is very transphobic and also wants to remove all sexually explicit books from school libraries and curricula, which I think we've named a few that he would. I don't know if he would know to get rid of them.
Exactly. No one tell him.
Yeah.
These are good books.
Yeah. And the final one here is just for me. So Alex said his family fled communism and Marxism. So by the time that Lenin took over and created his theory of Leninism, he was already doing a number on Karl Marx's theories. Marx viewed the state as oppressive and bad. And Lenin said, yeah, but when I do it, it's fine. And that's Leninism.
Yeah.
I know everyone who is more versed in communist thought than I am is going to be yelling their heads off at that. That is one tenet of Leninism and how it's split from Marxism.
Please don't at us. We're but a small podcast.
I'm learning and trying. I will eventually get there. I cannot read Russian books because the names are too long and hard for me to remember. This is going to take me a bit.
There are just so many names for one person.
I get it, Chekhov. Everyone was rich and now they're not, and that's funny. Ugh. So Marx also felt that only the working class should lead. And Lenin believed that, a revolution really doesn't have to be led by the working class. I mean, everyone could lead. So Leninism and Stalinism started with the base of Marxism, but by the time Alex was grown, Marxism pretty much was not in existence in Russia at the time. Marxist-Leninism is what they would call it, but it was very much Lenin's bag at that point.
Yeah. So it's do you remember Friendster?
Yes.
Friendster walked so Facebook could run.
The comparison that I make is it's like saying every single psychologist is a Freudian just because that's the basis of psychology. No matter what it is they believe in, they have to be Freudian by that fucking definition.
Interesting. Yes.
So, Alex, you should fucking know better. You fuck. Which brings us to our last and probably the best candidate to oust Brian Fitzpatrick. I'm not saying best by good person. I'm saying they have the best chance. I present you another Soviet expat, Dasha Pruitt.
Dasha!
Just like Alex, Dasha would come to America from Moscow in 1980, right before things got real good and Gorbachev got everyone McDonald's and it got really fun. Now, the reason I think Dasha is best positioned for this is because she's the only challenger who's done this before. In 2020, she would win the GOP primary in Pennsylvania's 5th district and then get crushed by incumbent Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon, 65-35. It seems that her initial run was inspired by seeing an empty supermarket shelf during COVID and had flashbacks to the empty shelves in the USSR. She states that she will do anything she can to keep America from becoming socialist, quote, over her dead body.
My God, Dasha, it's just a supply chain issue. Capitalism is also broken.
Yeah,
God.
this is happening in every country, Dasha, whether it's communist or hyper-capitalist. It's happening everywhere.
Why are you going in trying to buy 24 rolls of toilet paper yourself, Dasha? Chill.
Look, someone has to sell that shit on eBay.
Yeah, that's where the real money is.
But I'm also going to say that I don't know that she really knows what socialist means because she left Russia when she was fairly young. So I don't know if she fully comprehends.
Oh, we love it.
What that means. So currently Dasha is listed as an admin assistant, but her previous run against Scanlon, she was listed as a photographer and the owner of a real estate staging company. But of course, we have to look at Dasha and what she wants to do if she wins. And she actually has some clear plans. She wants to extend the Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2017, which I believe we would more colloquially remember as Trump's tax cuts for the rich in 2017. Yes. She wants to do this to, quote, avoid stifling economic growth and burdening constituents with higher taxes and reduced take-home pay. Now, this is the same bill that 37 out of 38 economists were questioned about by the University of Chicago, and all would state that, yeah, this is going to widen public deficits and increase income disparity. One person said, no, I don't think it will. And then a few months later called back and said, hey, I want to change my answer.
Oh, wait, no, I thought you asked about something different. I thought you were asking in like the double negative way that referendums are asked on ballots.
You called me when I was microdosing. It was a really weird day. I'm just catching up on emails now. So other people who agreed with them were 4 Nobel Prize winners in economics. But on the other side, Trump did produce a list of 137 economists who did support it. But once the list was reviewed, it was found to include a lot of people who didn't exist. In 2019, the Congressional Research Service looked into the results of the tax cuts and found it barely had any effect on the economy whatsoever. That the GDP increase was so low that it was clear the tax cuts that the rich got were not placed back into the economy and were just saved. And also shareholders benefited from the bill more than workers, mainly because wages grew very little, if any, and the very little money saved by the companies weren't spent on worker bonuses, but rather were used to buy more stocks in the company.
Yeah, fucking duh.
She wants to extend the generalized system of preferences, the miscellaneous tariff bill, which she might not have to worry about because Democratic Senator Ron Wyden's already working on that. So...
Great.
Yay.
There's a wash.
She claims the $15 minimum wage is destroying entry-level jobs, despite the fact that isn't the federal minimum wage yet. In Pennsylvania, the minimum wage is $7.25. So I have no idea where she's getting this present tense example. But she does say, quote, the $15 minimum wage is destroying entry-level jobs, as well as mom and pop restaurants and businesses. In order for these temporary job losses to not become permanent, it is critical that the government get out of the way of employers, workers, schools, and families to reduce regulations and stronghold of small businesses, farming, and energy industries. So, big thing that I would like to say. If your business cannot afford a $15 minimum wage, you are going to fail anyway.
No, I mean, I'm assuming she just saw all the like, no one wants to work anymore signs and just went out and had herself a word salad.
I mean, they would for $15 an hour.
But... yeah, imagine that.
Yeah, it's so infuriating. She also wants you to know that it's a really huge problem that families don't eat dinner together anymore. And if they do, their screens are in front of them.
No, Dasha, it's because they're working 2 to 3 jobs because the minimum wage is $7 and some change.
I know. She cites where she got this. Let me look this up. She got it from the Institute of My Feelings. Good institute. Great think tank.
You know what is frustrating though is SNL had a music video called Food in YouTube or YouTube Food. And it is all about, it's like, I made dinner and then, just started watching YouTube clips. Like,
what are you going to do? Sit in sad silence? No.
Yeah.
But yeah, for some reason, Dasha thinks that's the government's fault that families aren't eating dinner anymore. Like you need federally mandated family time at dinner.
Ugh. Have you seen some families? No,
guys,
thank you.
I work from home. I already see my family a fucking enough. Dinner is a vacation from them.
Yeah, dinner's when I hate watch Bridgerton. When else am I going to do it?
Like, I am going to watch videos about what's new at Disney, despite the fact, A, I can't afford to go there. B, I can't travel when there's a pandemic. And C, I don't even know if I want to go.
Yeah.
But it's dinner time. I'm fucking watching AJ talk about Disney food blogs.
Yes.
Dasha's pro-life. I know, huge shock. She wants to pass a heartbeat bill and require fathers to have an equal say on if a woman has an abortion or not. So good news for all you rapists and incestuous fathers out there.
Yeah.
She's got your back. She claims that Biden is trying to make safe injection sites for drugs, which we covered this last week, Dasha. All you had to do is listen. Legal injection sites have been deemed illegal by the Supreme Court. court because they're now technically crack houses. Thank you,
Right.
Bill McSwain. You fuck. I hope it was worth it. So
You coward.
So I have no idea where she's getting this information that they're like trying to make these sites. She also says she would identify successful means of treatment for people who are suffering from drugs. And Dasha, I fucking hate to break it to you. If you'd have just listened last week, safe injection sites have proven to actually work in the long run. You goddamn hack.
You know, I'm starting to think she doesn't subscribe.
You know, it's really, that hurts. That hurts on the inside, the outside.
Yeah.
Hurts everywhere.
Smash the like button, Dasha.
I know. Fucking like and subscribe. Manscaped.com. Raid Shadow.
Oh my God.
And if that's not enough, the real scary shit is when you look at who's endorsed her. Gubernatorial frontrunner and election conspiracy figure Doug Mastriano is probably the biggest name, but it's the small ones that really kind of get to you, such as Phyllis Schlafly's Eagle Forum, the Election Conspiracy Org American Voters Alliance, and the Gatestone Institute. The latter is an alt-right think tank that makes its name on Islamophobia and the Great Replacement, the racist theory that the whole point of immigration is to wipe out the white race. They're also the source for such conspiracy super hits as no-go zones in European cities, just as many churches were closed in England as new mosques were opened, and high Muslim fertility rates will help them take over Europe, as well as vacant homes are being seized by the German government to give to immigrants. All of these are false, but the Gatestone Institute would like you to believe they are true.
Good Lord.
Yep, and they like Dasha.
Oh.
So, as usual, we got to ask, what the hell do the Democrats have at this point? And how about a pissed off millennial Apache helicopter pilot?
I'm listening.
Good. You know
That
what? If you're
sounds great.
listening, I think we should let this candidate introduce herself.
If you had told 8-year-old me, living alone with my struggling mom, bouncing from house to house, with nothing but water to put in my cereal, that one day I'd be flying Apaches, I would have told you to fuck off. That's not what my story is about.
Yeah, that's Ashley Ehasz.
I love her.
Yes. She has no chance to win, but holy fuck, she's great. Yeah, Ashley grew up in a very difficult household. Parents with drug issues. I believe her grandparents also had mental health issues. So yeah, she bounced around house to house quite a bit. At the age of 17, got a permission slip isn't the word, but like an age accommodation to go straight into the military. From there, went to Apache pilot school. Was the only woman in her class to graduate.
Wow.
And has returned to Eastern Pennsylvania to run for office.
Where she's so angry, and I love it. I love that anger.
It's great.
I love the youth and the anger.
I love the image of an 8-year-old telling someone to fuck off and meaning it.
And she probably would have.
Yeah, like eating fucking water and kicks, the worst
Yeah.
combination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the more
great-
Ashleys across the country.
And the great news with her is that no one else is running for the Democratic nomination. It's hers. She's the nominee no matter what going into
Hey.
2022.
Fabulous.
Another reason that she's so pissed off is that she still owes $70,000 in student loan debt despite the GI Bill.
Are you? Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, she decided to go to get a master's and the GI Bill is like, no, we're done. No.
New level of anger.
But yeah, she's running a mostly progressive campaign for $15 minimum wage, student loan forgiveness, expanding the ACA to give more power to Medicaid to negotiate drug prices, and to allow more people to buy into the program if they so choose, and immediately addressing climate change as a national security issue, as the Department of Defense has asked us to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the first district. I would be shocked, honestly, if Brian Fitzpatrick lost the primary, but in this timeline that we're in, I also wouldn't be that surprised if Dr. Pruitt was suddenly the nominee, going against a very angry millennial who I don't think she has much of a chance to win, but is just going to be her the whole time.
Yeah.
So quick intermission of sorts.
Okay.
Let's head to Pittsburgh. Let's go to the 12th district.
The Berg.
So prior to redistricting, the 12th was a huge rural area in north central Pennsylvania, but moved into the old location of the 18th district, the home of incumbent Democrat Mike Doyle. Mike, who had served in Congress since 1994, chose to retire this year, citing the pandemic as something that kind of made him reevaluate retiring. I guess when you're an older fellow and death looks you in the eye, you're like, yeah, I should probably go home, just chill out. He also viewed redistricting as a perfect opportunity to, quote, pass the torch to the next generation. 5 Democrats have entered the race to grab that torch, and if Mike had his way, he would pick his endorsed candidate, attorney and lobbyist Steve Irwin. Now, Steve seems like a fine guy, but polls seem to be pointing towards someone else winning the race. Democratic Socialist State Representative Summer Lee. Summer would shock Pittsburgh in 2018 when she unseated Paul Costa, the 10-term incumbent. And the Costa family has been a political dynasty in Pittsburgh, and Paul had some real shitbag opinions going into 2018. such as being anti-choice, saying that abortion is, quote, not for birth control. You should be adult enough to watch yourself. He also supported the state's stand your ground law and pushed for gentrification in Pittsburgh at all costs.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an asshole.
So Summer would go up against him and kick his ass 67-33.
Yay.
And funny enough, another member of the DSA, Sarah Innamorato, would end up beating Paul's cousin Dom in the exact same election.
Suck it.
It was a beautiful night to learn about who the Costas were and watch them fail.
Yay.
And while this is a race where the Democrat is all but guaranteed to win, it looks like it might be Summer this time around, the Republicans have put up their own unique candidates. Mike Doyle. Now, I've said it before, and I'll always say it no matter who does it. I love it when a complete rando with the same name of the incumbent decides to run.
God damn it.
It never works. But the thing I love about it this time around is that Republican Mike Doyle has a bit of an extra advantage on his side. He actually has political experience. He's currently the council president of the borough of Plum, which is a suburb to the east of Pittsburgh.
Ooh, the borough of Plum.
I am from Plum. Yeah, they have a very nice sled hill, so I'll give them that.
Okay.
And so it brings a bit of short-term chaos and local think pieces on how Mike's name should appear on the ballot and whether he should be able to go by Michael or Mike. And it doesn't matter. And I love it when this happens. And I'm just keeping an eye on whatever nonsense this comes of this. So that's intermission, which brings us to our final primary seat. For this, we're going straight to Philadelphia, the 3rd district. The 3rd has been represented by Democrat Dwight Evans since 2016, but Dwight has had a long political career prior to that. Born in 1954 in Philadelphia, Dwight grew up in the Germantown neighborhood, graduated from LaSalle University, became a teacher in the Philly school district, and became a community activist for the urban. In 1980, Dwight would make his first run for office and run for the Pennsylvania House of Representatives in the 203rd district. He'd win and held the seat for 36 years. But it's not like Dwight wasn't trying to get a promotion during that time. In 1968, he'd run for lieutenant governor, but finished 3rd out of 3 in the Democratic primary with a respectable 23%. In 1994, he became the first ever African-American candidate for governor, gained the endorsements from multiple newspapers, but ultimately finished 2nd in the Democratic primary, and would end up being beat by the man who beat him in 1986 for lieutenant governor, Mark Single. In 1999, Dwight went more local, decided to run for mayor of Philadelphia. Despite his neighborhood popularity, he wouldn't be able to extend it to the rest of the city and finished next to last with 5%. He tried again in 2007, this time with the endorsement of the former mayor, but Dwight would finish 5th of 7 again with only 8% of the vote. Now, all that losing might convince folks that, maybe they should just be content with their multi-decade career in the state house. But not Dwight. For him, he had at least one more in him. And in November of 2015, he would announce that he was running for U.S. Congress. His opponent would be Chaka Fata, a man who had been representative of the 2nd District since 1995. Fata would face rare opposition during his 2 decades in Congress, was noted for creating a program that funded $4 billion in college awareness and prep programs, increased funding to the Boys and Girls Clubs and Big Brothers Big Sisters, and was vital in increasing funding for federal neuroscience research. He was heavily respected, very beloved, and committed so much crime.
Oh, no.
So in 2014, his longtime aide, Gregory Naylor, would plead guilty to money laundering. He had taken an illegal $1 million loan for an unnamed candidate who ran for mayor in 2007. Looking at who was running, it only makes sense to go to someone who was really close with Fata, which would probably be Chaka Fata because he ran for mayor of Philadelphia in 2007. And I don't know why you would give $1 million to a competitor. Like, I don't know if you're that good of a friend to be like, I really want this job, but you loaned me a shovel once, so I'll commit a bunch of crimes for you.
Oh my God.
So Naylor would get a plea bargain, and part of the plea bargain was that the person who took that loan would be kept private. The big issue, though, is that the loan was paid back by siphoning federal money from nonprofits run by Chaka. The Philadelphia Daily News would look into this and found that $5.8 million had been stolen from these organizations to pay allies and friends of Chaka. Less than a year later, Chaka Fata and 4 of his allies were indicted by the FBI for racketeering, which is sort of a catch-all term. When too many crimes have been done, you got to put it in a basket.
It's if Martin Scorsese can make a 3-hour biopic of what you did, you get charged with racketeering.
So I didn't know that racketeering actually came from the 1920s here in Chicago, where essentially a racket was a slang term for a fraud scheme of sorts. Like the old chestnut is going into someone's car dealership and be like, wow, man, you have a lot of nice cars here. Sure, it'd be a shame if someone came in and just stabbed all the tires. If you pay us money, we can make sure that doesn't happen. But if you don't, you might have some tire stabbing.
That would be a shame. Amazing.
That old racket. And so, And so, racketeering is where that comes from. So anyway, back to Chaka Fata and his 4 friends. These charges were in conjunction with stealing federal funds from his nonprofit groups, but also included an $18,000 bribe he accepted from someone who was wanting an ambassadorship. And I have to tell you, that is the dumbest way to go about trying to get an ambassadorship.
No.
We all know the process for that.
Isn't that how Blagojevich got?
Blagojevich got because it was someone who was wanting a senator job, which Blagojevich could have given.
Yeah.
Chakotana has no control as to who gets to be an ambassador. The process is very simple here in America. You pick a presidential candidate, you give them enough money to stay in the top 50 of donors, and if they win, you might get to be ambassador of Denmark or the Bahamas or somewhere really nice that doesn't, require a ton of work.
Yeah, the places that do require work are then you need to be in the State Department for a couple decades.
Yeah, you need some fucking professionals if you're going to like China or North Korea, or you need someone who knows what they're talking about.
Faso.
Or like Britain. It's like, yeah, you could probably send someone who doesn't know what they're doing to Britain, but we've only been friends for 150 years.
Right. Britain will know.
Yeah.
And they will let you know in a very passive aggressive way.
We need to give you an invoice for all the sugar we've been adding to your tea. It seems to be, it's more than we were expecting. That's all it is. Oh my God. So anyway, Chaka would be convicted on June 21st of 2016 and resigned from office 2 days later. This created some really awesome chaos. For one, the filing deadline for the Democratic primary for Chaka's seat had already occurred. And by the time he was found guilty, the election had already happened for the primary. So Dwight beat him 42-34. But when Chaka resigned, that meant that a special election had to be held to fill out the remainder of his term between November and January. So Dwight got the joy of running in 2 elections on election day.
Oh, Lord.
One for that period between November and January, and another for the rest of the term. So when he won, he ended up having more seniority than anyone else who won that year by a few months.
Wow.
So as a congressman, Dwight has mostly avoided the spotlight. He's what's referred to as a backbencher, someone who just, don't make a lot of waves. You vote with the party. You just, you collect your check. You do your best. The one bit of fame that he did have was in 2017 when he and Adriana Espaillat introduced legislation to ban Confederate monuments from federal property in the wake of the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. He would join the Congressional Progressive Caucus. He won re-election 2 more times. And fun fact, Dwight has never gotten less than 90% of the vote in general elections.
Oh, wow. Okay, Dwight.
And since beating Chaka, he's only faced one primary challenger who he beat very easily. But this year, he looks like he has his first real challenge since 2016. He will face 3 challengers for the seat, which for a dude without an ounce of controversy or scandal is very odd. But first up, we have Melvin Jonakin, who I won't talk a ton about because he doesn't have a campaign website. And I should also note that he's running under the name Melvin Jonakin, but he also goes by Prince Muhammad L, the name he uses as CEO of his construction company, ALT Ventures. Now, this isn't Melvin's first run, which gives us some idea of what he believes sans a website or campaign Twitter. In 2020, Melvin was an independent write-in candidate for the 3rd District. He'd attempted to win the GOP nomination to face Dwight, but due to the pandemic, he states he wasn't able to get enough signatures to get on the ballot. And it also looks like he didn't get enough signatures to actually be a write-in candidate because it's fewer signatures, but you have to have enough because otherwise the write-ins for you just get thrown out because otherwise people would be there all day, like tabulating all the write-ins for every single office. And the reason I believe this is there's not a single vote total for him after this election. So during the campaign, Melvin was outspoken about Black Americans leaving the Democratic Party and joining up with the Republicans. And he has also referred to Trump as, quote, an awesome guy. The
citation needed.
Well, he said he's an awesome guy and he'd love to meet him one day. And he said this in 2020, a good year to say that. The bonkers thing about all this is that if Melvin had just applied to run in the GOP primary this year instead of the Democrat one, he would have become their instant nominee. This is one of the very few congressional races where Republicans failed to list a nominee.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And so he kind of played himself on this, and I don't really know why. So this is a race where unless a third party or independent challenger enters the race by the August 1st deadline, whoever wins the Democratic primary will win the seat. So, let's move on to someone who actually has a website. Labor organizer and former NAACP state coordinator Michael Cogbill. Michael was born in North Philadelphia to a single mother who also happened to be a member of the transit union, which to me screams someone you do not fuck with.
Yeah.
If Chicago Transit folks and their fuck you sit down, don't make me stand up because I will make sure we both have a bad day if I have to attitude is anything to go off of, I can only imagine what a Philadelphia bus driver takes to their job every day.
Oh, yeah. To deal with other at least you have Midwestern politeness here.
Yeah.
But you're dealing with just like pure Philadelphians.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like a bus driver in Philadelphia would teach you how to tuck and roll whether you wanted to or not. So after attending Lincoln University, Michael built an extensive career in labor, community, and political organizing. Just to summarize, because that's a lot. 2010, he was a group supervisor for Diversified Community Services, where he oversaw a group of high school students who created their own gardening business. 2015, he served as the finance director for Kai Scott for Judge, which he ended up winning. It was a race with 13 candidates, and the top 12 won.
Wow.
So in 2016, he was the Philadelphia field organizer for Josh Shapiro's run for Attorney General. Also in the same year, he was the financial consultant for Donna Bullock's run for state representative. And you know what? Fuck it, 3 jobs, sure. He was also the field organizer for an organization called For Our Future. Hampshire. In 2017, he worked as the lead organizer for Southeast Pennsylvania for a group called Ceasefire, where he focused on gun violence, but also fought against transphobia and the trans panic defense excuse.
Ooh, nice.
In 2019, he became the organizing coordinator of the Philadelphia Council of the AFL-CIO. He also founded a group called the Center for Political Equality that year. And in 2020, he was the state coordinator for the NAACP during the general election. It is a deep and impressive resume.
Yeah.
But we run into the same issue with this guy as we did when we were talking about the Pennsylvania governor's race. Michael has things he supports, such as the Green New Deal, Medicare for All, and making Election Day a national holiday. But when it comes to new policy or plans, it's general statements. But if anything, his support for Medicare for All and the Green New Deal does place him further to the left of Dwight, and kind of seems to be the reason people are running against Dwight, is he doesn't believe in Medicare for All, and he hasn't co-sponsored the Green New Deal. It's very, like, he's kind of progressive, but kind of by affiliation only.
Yeah, it's a little Pino, a little Dino.
I know. Which brings us to our final, and I would say probably one of the most left people running for office right now.
Yay!
Alexandra Hunt was born in 1994 in Rochester, New York, and got her degree in psychology from the University of Richmond. And while she was an undergrad, she took on jobs to be able to make ends meet, like a lot of us do. She worked as a server for a bit. She was a clerk at Victoria's Secrets. And Una, I have to warn you, this is going to hurt your fragile sensibilities. And I know how much you hate to clutch those world-famous pearls of yours. Alexandra was a stripper when she was in college.
Oh, wait, I think I know about her.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Oh my God, and I want to be able to vote for her, but I can't because that would be illegal.
It would be very illegal. And so, she made her money. She graduated college and she went and got her master's degree in public health from Temple University, worked in Ecuador, Ghana, and the Pine Ridge Reservation here in America to provide public health, and made a career as a researcher at various scientific labs. Alexandra has also leaned very heavily into her past as a stripper, rightfully guessing that if she was going to run for office, people were probably going to use this against her.
Yep.
So she's kind of decided to just be upfront about it and use it as a positive. You can view this in her merch shop as well, which includes shirts that say, "I may have danced for money, but I'm no corporate whore," and a sticker that says, "Elect hoes."
Yes.
For the sake of transparency, I do have that sticker on the back of my laptop. So she has also noted that by being unashamed of her past as a sex worker, that it may actually make finding a job for her harder after the election if she loses, but views it as a risk worth taking, because if she can destigmatize sex work in the process, that's going to be a better net for everyone at the end. So Alexandra states that it was the government's reaction to the pandemic that led her to run. Quote, "When the pandemic first struck and the government failed to come to people's aid, I immediately saw all around me policy failure, and then a lack of support on the ground and people really struggling, people really suffering, and people were really scared with that lack of leadership. But the million-dollar question, does Alexandra have more than just leftist phrases as her policy?" And yes, Una, she does. Pages and pages. There's an interview she did with a local newspaper where they referred to her as long-winded, and I was very offended on her behalf. She does talk. She has a very extensive policy page. I had to take a break. I had to get some snacks, but I love it. It's so
that's
awesome.
what you want. That's
exactly.
Give me all the long-windedness.
Yes, show
me that you care, that you've put in the time.
Yeah, it's cool to say that you support stuff. I want to see how. I want to see how in the future you're going to. And Alexandra's here with so much. I had to edit down so much. The outline of her platform went 3 pages, just the basic gist.
It's like if you printed out all of her platforms, you would have to put it into one of those automated money guns that just makes it rain automatically.
If I were printing this out at a library, I would be consistently paranoid that someone would catch me printing out so much without paying for it.
It's just making it rain policy.
So yeah, let's just dive into this dream. So we're going to hit the basic stuff first. Go rapid fire through a few things. Abolish ICE and the Border Patrol.
Yes.
Monthly COVID survival checks of $2,000 and give out that money retroactively.
Yes.
End cash bail, increase compassionate release, end death by incarceration, end mandatory minimum sentencing, abolish the death penalty, close all for-profit prisons, and restore the right to vote to all formerly and currently incarcerated people.
100%.
Treat addiction with treatment rather than prison, release everyone in prison on nonviolent drug charges, expunge all past drug charges, and provide reparations to families and individuals who have been incarcerated on those charges.
Ooh, nice.
End prison gerrymandering. Now, this is something I didn't know was a thing. Apparently, when the census does its thing, when they count the number of prisoners in an area, it's not based on where they're from. It's based on the prison where they are. Yeah.
Oh.
One of the things I read is that 99% of people from Cook County who have committed crimes are in prisons, not in Cook County.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it really kind of fucks with, the number of people who live in a place just a bit. Compassionate reentry that makes hiring and housing discrimination against formerly jailed people illegal. A 2% wealth tax on anyone with a net worth of more than $50 million. Repeal right to work, pass Medicare for all, pass the Green New Deal for education, which we talked about a few episodes ago, raise teacher minimum wage to $60,000 a year.
Oh, at least. But yes.
Forgive all student debt and guarantee debt-free public college for those who want it. Ban anyone who has been convicted of domestic violence or abuse and stalking from owning a gun, which is not going to be easy for police departments to fill in.
Yeah, but maybe that's the point.
Pass a national rent control standard and a just cause requirement for evictions. Universal broadband for everyone. Expand WIC to include reproductive health services.
Oh, yeah.
Pass the Green New Deal, ban conversion therapy and guarantee gender affirming care, provide funding to family caregivers so that they can focus on their family and not their jobs, create a federal civilian corps to respond to mental health crises in their communities, and include mental health care in Medicare. Now,
I'm gonna cry.
This is so
beautiful.
I'm sure a lot of people are asking, that's all well and good. That sounds great. How the fuck are you going to pay for all that? And she has a pretty good answer. It's a traditional answer for a lot of us on the left. We're gonna cut the Pentagon's budget.
Yeah,
but she's gonna do it. She's going to do it in ways that I think are pretty fucking smart.
Nice.
So first and foremost, under foreign policy, she wants to repeal the 2001 and 2002 war authorizations and advocate for Congress to reclaim its constitutional authority to debate and vote on war.
Good.
But as for saving all that money, she will advocate to eliminate the Overseas Contingency Operations account. Now, this is something that was created after 9/11 as sort of like an emergency fund sort of thing that if, let's say Osama bin Laden buys a spaceship, all of a sudden we're going to need money to fight a spaceship. That's what that fund is there for, to suddenly be like, oh shit, this now.
We all have that $40 in the freezer.
Exactly. Just hiding in a box of old samosas. And so since 9/11, that fund has given out over $2 trillion.
To whom? To where? My God.
Places and for safety.
Great.
Yeah.
Slush fund.
But since, we're not fighting in Afghanistan anymore and we're pretty much done in Iraq, why do we need that fund still?
Yep.
And so I believe the amount it was like in the billions that it was spent in 2019. So first and foremost, we're getting rid of that. Close unneeded domestic bases, and use it or lose it contract spending, end the foreign military financing program, close 60% of foreign bases, cancel the new intercontinental ballistic missile production, and reduce the use of weapon systems that are ineffective, obsolete, or in excess of reasonable security needs. And by doing all of that, she estimates that we would be able to save $355 billion, or 48% of the Pentagon's budget.
Or Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. One Bezos. We're going to cut it by one Bezos. We have two. We need one.
Yeah, we really do.
And so by cutting $355 billion, you can suddenly afford everything she mentioned.
Yeah. And
another thing, it starts with an R. It pisses off a lot of people. Una, we're talking about a $15 billion reparations plan.
Yay! Do it.
There are steps. There are plans. Step 1, reestablish the Office of Freedmen Affairs.
Oh, wow.
So this is something I didn't know a whole lot about, the Freedmen's Bureau. So it was created in 1865 after the Civil War as part of Reconstruction. The initial job of the Bureau was to help obtain everyday necessities for the formerly enslaved, such as food, medicine, and jobs. But also they would help reconnect families that had been separated during their enslavement. While the Bureau did succeed in distributing 20 million rations of food in 4 years, getting medical help proved to be a really difficult task, mainly because while they could try to get people medical help, they couldn't force doctors in the South to give it. And so it was very limited where people could go to get help. And it also didn't help that a lot of colleges were like, congratulations on being free. We don't want to teach you to be doctors.
We're still bigots and we're really pissed off right now.
Congrats on your freedom. We don't got to do it.
Yeah.
And another kind of weird side effect of the Freedmen's Bureau is they were really hardcore about not just making men get jobs, but also women. And so they were consistently telling people that they had to go work at the cotton fields where they used to work just for getting paid now. And so it was kind of forcing people back to the places they used to work. Yeah, it wasn't great.
A little traumatizing.
The Bureau would only last until 1872, a full 7 years. And this is mainly because the North started to lose interest, assuming everything was fine. The government got really into Manifest Destiny and started sending folks out west. The dude who was running the Freedmen's Bureau was actually removed from it to go out west to try to win a few wars, and they got rid of it behind his back, which he was horribly offended by.
So basically we did a COVID preparation on them.
Look, COVID's always been the same, Una.
Yeah.
And also, it needs to be noted that Southerners who did not want Reconstruction to begin with just made a hell of a stink until they just got rid of it and just refused to help as much as they could, to the point that the program just wasn't working.
Right. You can't make me see this person as a fully formed person. Nope.
Yeah.
Bye.
And surprise, surprise, after 1872, you suddenly start getting Jim Crow laws and things just go right back to the way they were. 7 years does not fix generational racism.
Jesus.
So yeah, she wants to bring that back, with the primary goal of helping Black Americans learn about their lineage and history. So one of the big questions I've always had with reparations is, how do you determine who gets them? And how do you prove to be a descendant of the enslaved? Because that is a long process. You need to hire genealogists to do that. You need to be able to find the paperwork to prove that. Her goal is to have this bureau do that work and to reconnect people to their past.
Which is so great. The onus shouldn't be on the individual.
Yeah, 100%. I think probably I'm frustrated at myself for not even thinking of this as a possible solution. And it's genius. I love it so much.
You know what also is great about it is it sounds like she is a job creator. How about that?
Yeah, suddenly a bunch of genealogists suddenly start getting that fat government check.
Yes.
Henry Louis Gates is running a whole fucking department.
Yeah, and to do work that is, not only is it like work, but I mean the emotional exhaustion of piecing this together to prove that you deserve reparations. My God. Give that to someone else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whose literal job it is to do that for you.
Yeah. It's like I think it's one of the coolest ideas I've seen so far in this midterm.
It makes a lot of sense.
And so also part of the Freedmen's Bureau would be to identify Black-owned businesses and steer more government contracts toward those businesses to even things out across the board. Reparations, though, themselves would include multi-generational direct payments, as well as policies, protections, and tax exemptions to be able to help people throughout reparations as well. And finally, ensure schools teach an honest history of slavery and race in America.
Hey, what a concept.
The first time I have seen a candidate say that flat out when everyone else is talking about CRT and the 1619 Project. This is the one person to come forward.
Ugh, we stand it.
And finally, the last deep dive that we have, she wants to repeal a bill called Sesta Fosta, which in 2018 was one of Trump's big laws that he got passed to much bipartisan support and fanfare. So the Stop Enabling Sex Traffickers Acts and Allow States and Victims to Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act were a pair of bills passed in 2018. Republican Congresswoman Ann Wagner of Missouri introduced the bill with the goal of increasing the culpability of online dating forums in sex trafficking.
Oh God, I remember this. Yeah. Yes, it was such a fuck up. Continue, explain why.
So particularly this bill was aimed towards a website called Backpage.com. But we can't have Backpage without even talking a little bit about Craigslist, because Craigslist caused a lot of this. So prior to Craig and his list, all weekly newspapers made the bulk of their cash on personals ads and job postings in their newspapers. When Craigslist showed up with a minimalistic forum that was completely free, many newspapers saw their revenues tank. So to combat this, the founders of the Phoenix New Times partnered with the Village Voice and created Backpage as a way to try and recoup those losses. Backpage would help Village Voice Media until they sold the site in 2015, but we'll get to that. Where things get complicated, though, is Craigslist added a super sexy feature on their personal section called, quote unquote, erotic services. Now, the implication was that this was meant to separate people who were looking for a relationship from people who just wanted to fuck for fun. But the area would eventually become a new way for sex workers to offer their services. People would be like, I'll date you, but you have to bring a bouquet of 100 roses, or like French lessons, $100, things like that. You know, just enough that the law would be like, well, fuck you, man. This is ridiculous, but I can't arrest you for overcharging for French lessons.
Yeah, French have always been a little that way.
So within a year of introducing this section on Craigslist, politicians began accusing Craigslist of aiding and abetting child sex trafficking, as well as traditional sex work. Connecticut Attorney General and future Senator Dick Blumenthal would threaten Craigslist with a lawsuit. And this is based off of a woman in Connecticut was arrested. She told the cops that she met her client via Craigslist. And this is enough for Dick Blumenthal to be like, we got him. We can use this as a threat. The tough thing, though, is that there's something called Section 230 of the U.S. Communications Decency Act, which states that the company is not held to account for what third-party members post on their site. So if I went on to Reddit and I said, hey, who wants to fuck for $50? Reddit would not be sued. I would be, because I'm doing a sex work on a website and in the wrong subreddit, probably.
Most definitely. Yeah.
Sir, this is
how you
our
get found out.
pennies.
Yeah.
But it's also a decent rule because, if you have a large website like Facebook or Twitter, you're essentially telling them that they have to review every single tweet and post every single day by human eyes. And if they fuck up just once, they're gonna be facing those crimes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's the understanding that like you can do the best you can and you need to have monitoring, but as long as you're proving an effort, you're in the clear. So Dick Blumenthal goes to Craigslist. They have it out for a little bit, but they come to a bit of a plea bargain where if Craigslist begins charging for these erotic services ads, say $5 to $10 a post, then that'll keep people from posting things for free and reduce the number of posts that are there. So Dick Blumenthal gave Craigslist a line of revenue as punishment.
Yeah. Wait, what? So now Craigslist is getting a cut of someone's Thursday blowjob?
Yeah, it's what's known as a bad idea. We made this guy a senator.
Was David getting a cut of Craigslist cut? My God, this is like, how is that stop? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so angry.
It gets worse. So the part of the deal with this though, for why they had this is if you posted an ad, you had to use a credit card and you had to use a phone number that was traceable, which meant you had to have a burner phone and a debit card.
Yeah.
Or like a gift card. And then you're good. But yeah, the idea was they could track the phone number and know who was placing the ads, and people got around this, I'm sure, in an hour and a half.
And Craigslist got a cut of it.
Exactly. So following this, a lot of other attorneys general decided, hey, we should sue you too, or should start looking into this. The most famous being a lawsuit brought on by Cook County prosecutor Tom Dart, in which Craigslist won because they have Section 230 and you can't fucking win that. But you had the Attorney General of Illinois, of South Carolina, Dick Blumenthal was getting back on this to sue them again.
Dick, you fucked up once already.
All right, you have to raise the amount that you're charging to $50. But yeah, it just got to the point that in the year 2010, things were just becoming too much of a pain in the ass for Craigslist, so they just shut it down, much to the chagrin of sex enjoyers everywhere, which left Backpage as the biggest remaining site for everyone to reshift their focus. Now, it is important to say that these claims of children being trafficked by these sites aren't baseless. There have been a number of lawsuits that have occurred due to this. It is absolutely stuff that was happening. In 2010, Backpage was sued by a victim who had been trafficked on their website, but due to Section 230, the site was found innocent of wrongdoing. That being said, the Village Voice responded to the suit by hiring legal counsel to help them figure out how to fight these kinds of ads. They had worked with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to develop a plan, which kind of seemed to be just a list of words that you weren't allowed to use in your posts as the like kind of flag that like, oh, you're talking about a child.
Yeah.
And that kind of seems to be it. So once again, not a good plan. So it wasn't working great, and people were noting this in the news. And so the Village Voice did the rational thing and just started producing articles in their newspaper about how this rash of child sex trafficking is a myth and isn't true. And the numbers are exaggerated. We're not doing anything wrong. Look at these 14 articles we've cited that we wrote.
Why not in that sense? Like, you keep it open and then actually work with, dare I say, like police or FBI to find the people trafficking, to just go through and be like, okay, those are consenting adults. Ooh, this is a red flag. Let's follow up on it.
Don't know. I honestly don't know why that wasn't the path they took. They did say they had a whole team of people moderating the site, and it might just be that people knew what words to use to be able to sneak around stuff.
Right, which is what happens after you throw out a list of like no words. Like, okay, I'm going to find different words. Good job.
And yeah, I'll also say too, all pop statistics should be looked into. It was at this time there was a report saying that 100 to 300,000 people had been sexually exploited via Craigslist and Backpage, and the Village Voice tried to debunk this, but at the same time, like, that's not, you guys shouldn't be doing this. Like, outsource it to the New Yorker. Have Ronan Farrow get on this.
Yeah,
like, you guys have a vested interest in the results of these findings, so maybe not you. And so, the Village Voice releases all these articles, and it caused people to go to their offices and protest on a very regular basis. They ended up having advertising boycotts from H&M, IKEA, and Barnes & Noble. There were multiple celebrity endorsements for the movement to shut down Backpage from Demi Moore, Ashton Kutcher, Alicia Keys, the band REM, and The Roots. The Village Voice just kept writing rebuttal articles to journalists speaking ill of Backpage. CEO Tony Ortega would call child sex trafficking on the site, quote, a national fantasy. But by 2014, they chose to cut bait and sold Backpage. By then, though, So the legal fight against Backpage had grown too large to stop. Kamala Harris and Ken Paxton began looking into the company for legal challenges. The Senate held their own investigations. And by then, Backpage had just kind of become too stubborn in their denial to be likable ever by the public. And so you have the power of big government going up against an enemy everyone hates. And so no one cares what the fuck happens. Just shut them down.
Self-satisfied liberals from New York. It's like shooting ducks in a barrel.
Which brings us to FOSTA SETSTA. So the main crux of the bill is that it would remove Section 230 protections from websites where sex work was being advertised. That way, if child trafficking was occurring, the website could be sued for being a sort of middleman accomplice. The bill would pass the House with bipartisan support and then pass the Senate with only 2 votes against, one from Rand Paul for libertarian reasons, and the other from Ron Wyden, the sole tech expert in the entire Senate.
Amazing.
And honestly, on its face, I could see why FOSTA SETSTA makes sense in, trying to solve an extremely noble goal. And the thing, though, is it's the kind of simple solution that creates a really big, bad problem. Many sex workers have voiced opposition to the bill because it has taken away a number of measures that they had developed to not only keep themselves safe, but to break away from the system of working for someone else, essentially, also known as a pimp. Since sex work went online, suddenly there were no longer a need of having a pimp to set up clients and take exceptionally large cuts of your work. And most importantly, forcing you to have sex with someone who might be potentially dangerous. Sex workers online developed a bit of a database, a blacklist of violent clients that they could use between each other. This way they could confer and know who to block and who was safe. Another point made by dominatrix Daniel Blunt with an interview with WHYY is that beginning the business transition online rather than the street keeps sex workers safer. When people are negotiating on the streets, you want to get the encounter with the client going as quick as possible because you're being heavily surveilled by police on the streets. So by having the barrier of interacting with someone over email, I can sort of test how they're interacting with me. It gives you more space to make a decision before getting in a car. And this isn't just anecdotal. Baylor University ran a study on cities where these safety measures and client blacklists existed and found that the female homicide rate had dropped from as low as 1% to as high as 17.6%, which is key due to many serial killers focusing on sex workers thanks to the negative view society has towards them and the ambivalence of police to solve homicides of sex workers. And since FOSTA SETSTA has been passed, there has been a huge spike in the number of sex workers who have gone missing or been murdered.
Yep.
And the thing is, this is actually one of the very few things that actually has a common sense solution, which mostly I'll say anyone who says there's a common sense solution is lying to you. This is the one. We have one.
We got one.
Legalize sex work.
Yep. Just legalize it.
By regulating the industry via licensing and allowing a legal venue in which to advertise services like, a personal website.
Yeah.
It will remove the need for forums that will remain for sex workers and aid child traffickers to operate anonymously. This way, the willing sex workers can operate safely and sites pushing illegal sex work can be held accountable. And that's exactly what Alexandra wants to do. I was looking a little bit into Nevada because, Nevada's like the one bastion of legal sex work in America. And the laws for it there are really fucking bad. They're not great.
Right. But we look at it being like, oh, but it's legalized. It's like, they kind of have healthcare. That's
there is that. Sex workers in Nevada are required to have STD tests every week. Really screwy. They have to certify their licensing with the local sheriff, which not a huge fan of that.
That sounds dodgy.
Any county with more than 700,000 people are not allowed to have legalized sex work, which means 90% of the sex work that occurs in the state is illegal because it all happens in Vegas, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like,
it's the town where everyone goes. Like, no one's going to go out to fucking Parham to,
Illy, which is spelled E-L-Y, but don't pronounce it Ellie.
Yeah.
You run out of town like I was.
Yep. They do not cotton to that. It's a good way to be charged.
Pronounce it weird for a reason.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, it's one of those things that we have such a puritanical view of sex work in general. We didn't invent that, but it's been around for so long that I think it is hard for people to imagine that sort of thing being legal. But frankly, I don't see what the downside is to it.
Yeah, I see it as falling under the umbrella of, say, like abortion, which is slowly becoming more and more illegal within the states. And this idea of make it illegal, but that doesn't stop it. It's the same with sex work. It's like, it's illegal. It doesn't stop. Yeah. So what are we doing here?
Yeah. Well, and also a point I was recently thinking today is that the vast majority of Americans have purchased sex work at some point in their life, because I think a lot of us assume that to be one-on-one sex. But it's also, it's pornography. It's going to a strip club. It's any number of things that the vast majority of us have participated in and have paid for. So why is this the one line?
Yeah.
Why
it's
have
a
we drawn this line?
cocaine-fueled orgy. You think it's just senators there? That would be, they see each other all the time.
He's such a boner of a night.
Ew. Literally.
Someone's going to want to talk policy in the middle of the coke orgy. And
yeah, and it's going to be Ted Cruz.
Oh, Ted, I don't want to debate you. I just want to fuck someone.
We get it. You went to Princeton.
So yeah, on that note, Alexandra seems fucking great. She has only scored one endorsement so far. I hate to say it's Marianne Williamson.
No, not a woo-woo endorsement.
Yeah, I know, but
fine.
I don't know. I have hopes.
Cowards.
I have some real hopes on this one because she's running, I think, a really smart campaign. She, is addressing her past in a very positive way that even if she doesn't win, it's going to benefit in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of the ideas that are presented in her platform, I mean, these are things that if you're a progressive, further left candidate or planning to run in the future, a lot of this stuff is stuff to look into and really, really good to ask yourself, is this something I could fully support at all times?
Yeah, and it's the dream of having your elected officials have past work experience that matches the rest of America. It's Cori Bush, who was unfortunately homeless for a period in her life. It's AOC, who was a bartender.
Yeah, and it's thinking of Alexandra's jobs when she was in college. She got the triumvirate of dealing with creepy dudes.
Yep, if anyone is going to know how to handle Congress.
Yeah, it's like I worked as Victoria's Secrets, I was a stripper, and I was a server. None of you can fuck with me.
Yeah, please try me.
Yeah.
Please see how that goes.
Yeah, you are
fuck around and find out.
The common thread of two of those three places is a bouncer will be there, and maybe we should have one in Congress.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, use that congressional mace. I don't know if you've ever seen the congressional mace. I believe it is jade and huge.
What?
Yeah, there's a congressional weapon.
Oh my God, I was thinking of the spray mace.
Oh no, it's a medieval. Well, it's not even like a medieval. Oh no, I'm thinking of a flail. Like, yes, it's a mace where it's, just a big club made of metal.
Oh my God, yeah, bring it back.
Yeah, we should do an episode on the congressional mace one day. That'd be fun. So yeah, Una, that brings us to our favorite section of Preview 2022. Fuck, marry, banish.
Oh my God. Okay, well, give me a rundown of names again.
All right. So in the first district, we got Brian Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Brad, Alex Enton, Dasha Pruitt. In this one, we have Dwight Evans, Prince Mohammed El, Michael Cogbill, Alexandra Hunt.
All right.
A literal 4 day of choices.
All right. I think I would marry Alexandra because she's a planner. I mean, I'm going to be well taken care of, and that's going to be a very equal relationship.
Agreed. I fully endorse Anne's steel answer. Yes.
I guess I'm going to go with Buck Brian Fitzpatrick because I stand a nice Catholic boy. I can't not.
Once again, that was what I was going to say because I don't think he'd kiss and tell. I think it would be a very fun evening.
Yes. Yeah. He would be very, I'm just going to imagine he would be very Kennedy quiet about the situation.
Yeah. But not in like a creepy, you better not talk sort of way. It's more
like, just in a classy way.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to tell father about this, but
but his lips to God's ears, as it were.
100%.
And then, oh my God, just banish the rest.
I don't think Dwight or Michael deserve that, but
that's fair. That's fair. Dwight and Michael, fine.
If I had to banish someone, I think it'd be Brad, just because the fucking gall to do
that's
less than the bare minimum and to still have terrible opinions.
So terrible.
People need to hear. I wonder if any dalliances with the Fitzpatrick brothers, I wonder if their like go-to afterwards is worth the Hail Marys.
I think the concern might be more that they probably don't use protection.
Yeah. Womp womp. Well, that's a note.
Again, just making Irish Catholic stereotypes over here.
We're just gonna merch the honor of the Fitzpatrick boys. And on that note, legalize sex work, man. It's not gonna hurt anyone. If anything, it's gonna help everyone. It is a genuine way to cut down on child sex trafficking, a real fucking issue.
Yeah, you're only making it more dangerous.
Yep. Man, well, on that note, I guess we're going to see it next week. I don't know if I'm going to talk about Mehmet Oz. It's literally just reading about a bunch of people who have bumper stickers for policy. And
wasn't there a maintenance phase piece on Mehmet Oz?
There was.
All right, listeners.
It might be better just to go listen to the maintenance phase episode
Yeah.
of Mehmet Oz, because it makes it all the more frustrating at how smart he was, and just he got drunk on fame, and he's just one of those people who never should have had it to begin with.
Yeah. So listen to that episode with the knowledge that he is now running for Senate.
Yeah, he might win with like 19% too. So anyway, thank you all for joining us this week. Who knows what we're going to be doing next week? It might be a preview. I might dive into some weird, wacky fun. We might talk about the Congressional mace and how many men it has killed.
Yes, flying by the seat of our pants.
Yeah, so we'll see you next week on Gadfly. It's for Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?